What's up, y'all? We are back for episode 14 of Joseline's. First and foremost, I gotta thank y'all. Y'all killed it, man. Y'all killed it with the likes. I wanted 300. How many? I wanted 200 likes on the video, and we are almost close to 400 likes on the video. Y'all killed it. Do it again. Please do that again, because y'all helped me get to 6,000 subs. We on the road to 10K. We on the road to 10K. So do me a favor right now. Please go ahead and thumbs up the video. If you're new here, please subscribe. Y'all know to jump in the comments. And I want y'all to jump in the comments too. Watch the whole video because I got something that I need y'all to do in them comments. But most importantly, I want to talk to y'all about this coming week. I'm going to be in Miami this coming weekend. So I won't be able to drop the episodes on Sunday like I normally do. Y'all know I'm very OCD. I like doing stuff consistently at the same time where I know y'all will expect it. I probably won't be able to do it because I'm going to be on vacation. I get back Monday around 12 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to try and come home. I'm not going to go to the gym that day. So I'm going to try and come home and get the recaps out to y'all before we go live. But please, please, please turn your post notifications on. Do it on all. Make sure it says on all because I'm going to need y'all to watch the video because it's going to be off the normal time frame that I normally do it. So I want y'all to at least see it, pay attention to it, get y'all's thoughts off, thumbs up the video, interact with it. But yeah, that's all I got. This episode, a lot of it could have been condensed. I feel like it was a waste of time, honestly. And I got some thoughts. I know some of y'all probably gonna be like, "Oh, well, you biased towards Neek," but no, I see why Neek acts the way she does with these girls. I see why she does. But we'll get to it. Yeah, and I'm on my phone right now because for some reason my iPad is not backing up my notes, so I'm gonna do it on my phone. But yeah, let's go. Okay, so we get to the girls. They're on the bus. They're pretty much talking about how the show that they last did was their best show. They start screaming and chanting about being in Cancun or whatever because they're in Cancun now, finally. And we find out this is going to be their last show. Rosé is still there. We see she did not go home. Neek, she ends up saying that she didn't take Joseline's rant to heart. Essentially, we all know that Neek doesn't take all of that stuff that Joseline does to heart, even though I couldn't be around her. You wouldn't be talking to me like that. But Neek, she don't take it seriously. Well, I don't want to say she don't take it seriously, but she knows it's just Joseline being Joseline, trying to see if you can really put up with who Joseline is as a person. So I guess that's a way to think about it as Neek is. But Raven was shocked, but also impressed that Neek didn't go home. I'm like, why are you shocked that Neek didn't go home? Neek is not scared of none of these girls, not even Joseline. And not only that, Neek wants to dance. Neek can dance. Why would Neek go home? Why would she go home? Like, she's the one, no matter what she's put through, she's not going home because Neek knows what she's there for. But Envy ends up asking Rosé what made her walk off whenever she walked off crying. And Rosé ends up saying, like, she takes in the notes that Joseline says, like, she takes it in. And when Joseline says what she does, like, that's just really what it is. I just take it all in. But it was when Raven was talking about my breath stinking, saying that she ends up saying, too, that she went to the dentist or whatever. So it low-key came off like she was embarrassed. And, I mean, I don't blame her. Who wouldn't be embarrassed? Like, you trying to literally embarrass me in front of everybody. Why would she not be embarrassed about that? But Rosé ends up saying that she felt like Raven was trying to play in her face. I agree. Because Raven didn't have to do it like that. She didn't have to do it like that. I know a lot of people are going to be in my comments like, Raven this, Raven that. Because Raven has been a lot tolerable this season. But her motive in doing that was to embarrass her. Like, let's just keep it real. And she didn't have to do that. If she really meant what she preaches later on, she would have took her to the side and didn't do that shit in front of everybody. She wanted to do that to embarrass her. Like, let's just keep it for real. Because she was jealous and she was mad about the fact that she was in the top 3 and she wasn't. But Rosé ends up saying that, Raven ends up saying that she felt like Rosé was playing in her face too. I don't know how, but okay. But Rosé ends up saying that she expected Raven to be more discreet about it instead of like mentioning this shit in front of everybody. Like I just said, like trying to embarrass me. But Hennessyy then butts in and says that it smells like somebody shit in your mouth and your breath is fucking hot. I said, okay. You're now picking with her. So let's see. The bullied is becoming the bully. That's how it always happens. But Rosé ends up saying, I'm not even close to you for you to even smell it. Like I don't be around you like that. Rosé then starts blowing her breath in her face, and Hennessyy's calling her dragon breath. They start going back and forth. Erica then starts hyping up the card to kind of like get the energy back positive. They start chanting about season 5 or whatever. She said, this is our last show. Let's try and keep the vibes hype, cool, and deal with the drama after the show. I agree with that. Like, once the performance is done, if y'all want to fight and do all this bickering and shit, do that. Like, let's try and keep the vibes high so we can go into this performance. But Erica then brings up the top 3 picks and asks if they still feel like they're the top 3. And Neek says, of course, she does feel like she's still in the top 3. She feels like her cussing them out was like, bitch, you here. Like, this is what you're going to deal with. Draya ends up saying that she feels like 2 of the 3 are not in the top 3 anymore, which obviously she's talking about Neek and Rosé. But Rosé says, like, if I'm not, I'm still going to plan on getting back in the top 3. That's just really all you can do at that point. But Draya is talking about how y'all couldn't handle a little cussing out. Y'all not going to be able to survive the tour. I'm like, they're still there. So if they couldn't handle it, they wouldn't be there. Like, I can't stand Draya and Dani. I can't stand them. Like, sometimes they might say some things that could be logical, but it's just like, y'all stand here and let this woman disrespect y'all on multiple occasions. Nothing you say will ever make me go, yes, I fully agree with them. Like, they're completely right. Y'all stand there and allow that woman to disrespect y'all. For what? For what? I want to know how much they're getting to be on these seasons. But they then start speculating on if there's going to be another elimination or whatever. And Envy ends up asking Rosé if she feels like she's still in the running. And Rosé says, like, if I get to 50K, she couldn't even finish her sentence because Hennessyy butts in yet again saying you won't get that money. I said, oh, so you doing too much now. Yes, I know you and Rosé have an issue. And Rosé apparently was talking about you. We didn't really see that much shit talking from Rosé about Hennessyy on camera. So I could be reaching saying this, but I feel like Hennessyy now is pushing the issue even more with Rosé. And I'm like, now I'm looking at you kind of weird too. Like, both of them is weird. But Hennessyy is real weird. We're going to get to it in a minute though. But Hennessyy ends up saying, I'm just saying don't hate me. Or she said, I'm just saying don't hate me. I guess, I don't know what she said that for. No, she said, I'm just saying, but don't hate me. And Rosé was like, I do, but you just so in love with me. And they start going back and forth. Yet again, just going back and forth. I didn't write it all. I tried to write it down, but then I would just erase it and just typed in. They going back and forth because I ain't got time for it. Because like I said, it was wasting time. Like, all of this back and forth did not need to be shown. But they start talking about how one can't keep, Hennessyy being the one saying, you can't keep my dick out your mouth. Y'all know that's her normal. That's her saying. And then Rosé is talking about how Hennessyy's in love with her. Yada, yada, yada. They still screaming now. They upstanding screaming now. Security gets in between them. Neek goes and sits in the back where Ocean's, Dani, and Draya was. And I mentioned this for a reason because it comes back up later on. Neek was not like, me, if I don't fuck with you like that, I'm not even going to go sit next to you. She was sitting next to them and she was kind of being cordial with them back there. But we'll get to it. But they're now rehashing Rosé getting cool with the girls that Hennessyy was beefing with. Hennessyy is saying how she... is saying how when you... She's saying how, like, when you did it... I don't know what the fuck. Apparently, she's saying, like, when she got with the girls, they were still talking shit about her, and that's when she started kind of treating her a different type of way. Which, I mean, I guess we saw that. But they start talking about how their lack of friendship or whatever that is, they're kind of, like, downplaying the friendship low-key. Talking about how they looked at each other like friends instead of actually really being friends. I'm like, so what are we doing? Like... If y'all really ain't friends like that, then what are we arguing for? But Rosé then, and I'm like, it's for the show, obviously. But Rosé, she then starts talking about how she a grown-ass woman and will do whatever the fuck she want to do. And then she said, let's check your bank account. Let's go, what she said? Let's go band for band. And Hennessyy says, you lying like a motherfucker. And then she says, you 21 and ain't got your own crib. You live with your boyfriend who's not the daddy of your baby. I said... They ain't friends, but if they were friends, Hennessyy, you are not a friend. You're not a real friend. I'm notorious for saying this. I say this all the time. When we be on the lives, me, Movie Bay Legend, we all say the same thing over and over again. If I and I'm lucky, 29 years old. I have never fallen out with a friend. Like the friends that I don't talk to as often anymore. It's not because I fell out with them. It's just because life took us away. Like we just went in different directions. But I've never lost a friend. I've never had an issue that was worth losing a friend over. But even if I did, and it was bad, and we left on bad terms, if I know something about you, I'm never going to speak on that shit. I'm not going to tell nobody. anything that you didn't want to, like anything that was personal, I wouldn't tell anybody that because we're not cool. Like that's just so grimy to me. And for her to do that, I was like, that's shiesty. That is shiesty. But Erica said pretty much what I just said. If y'all was friends, you shouldn't be airing this shit out. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. That's fucked up. But Rosé then asked all the girls, like, did I ever say anything that Hennessyy had told me about whatever's going on in her life? Have I ever said that to any of y'all? And nobody said that she did, because she didn't. And I'm like, you right. Like, Rosé, like, she might, I don't know what the shit talking or whatever. She might be cool with her ops or whatever. But I have not heard Rosé say too much crazy shit about Hennessyy. So, wild. But Rosé ends up talking about how she got pregnant at 16, and Hennessyy ends up saying that Rosé had still telling her business. Said that Rosé told her that she cheated on her boyfriend with the baby father, then got back with the boyfriend that she cheated on him with. Rosé's like, are you done? Hennessyy's like, I'll be done talking about you when you done talking about me. And Rosé says, that's perfect. We ain't, like, I ain't got to do it no more. But the rest of the girls, they're talking about how they essentially love each other, talking about the two of them. I don't see no love there. Like, I genuinely don't. But Rosé then starts talking about how she wants her ones. Hennessyy starts taking off that wig that was not. That wig was right. That wig was on her forehead. But she takes it off like, okay, you want your ones, let's go. And everybody's telling them to get off the bus. Rosé was taking her shit off before this. But Hennessyy is now trying to get to Rosé at this point. Rosé's trying to take everything off. She's slowly doing it. I'm like, you need to move a little bit faster. But Hennessyy obviously is trying to do it on the bus. You already know, if you didn't see the beginning of my recaps at the beginning of the season, fighting on the bus, I am not a fan of that. But everybody's telling them, like, wait till we get off the bus. Like, get off the bus. So Rosé is now trying to throw shit. Now I'm like, at this point, Rosé, what you doing? Because if you don't want to fight on the bus, why are you throwing shit at her to make her want to fight you on the bus? But Rosé, Raven gets off the bus with some Doritos. She's sitting there eating her Doritos. Hennessyy then gets off and wants to go change, which is smart because she's in like a little sundress. Rosé is crashing out. Security sitting there restraining her. Rosé ends up seeing Hennessyy going to change. She mad about it. Neek pretty much is like, you want me to go get your clothes? Like, I'll go get you some clothes. So the rest of the girls, they're lined up in the backyard. Y'all saw it in the super trailer. They lined up with security. Security's lined up too. They waiting on them. Like, we about to rumble. Let's see. And Hennessyy comes out in a tank and some shorts. Rosé comes out the same way. They squaring up, and Hennessyy comes up and runs up. And they start bear hugging her, or bear hugging each other. Y'all know how Hennessyy fights. Hennessyy is from that WWE style, like wrestling. She likes to wrestle you down, get you in a headlock, get you down. Then once she gets you down, then she gonna start punching you. Rosé, this is the first time we really see her fight for real. And I'm like, what is her fighting style? This first round, Hennessyy was manhandling her. Like, Hennessyy was biting Rosé, which I can't stand that shit. I can't stand it. There's no rules in fighting, but biting, kicking and kneeing. I feel like when you kick somebody, I feel like the only time you should kick somebody is if your hands are tied. That kneeing people and stuff and kicking and biting, I can't stand that shit. I cannot stand it. Just throw your fist up and actually start throwing them hands. But Hennessyy gets Rosé by the hair, gets her down, and starts rocking her from the... She hitting the back of her head, too. Like, literally. Security breaks that up as they were grabbing hair. Rosé got that first... I mean, not Rosé. Hennessyy got that first round. First round was Hennessyy. Rosé is now trying to put her hair up. I'm like, why you didn't put your hair up to begin with? Because her hair was out, and Hennessyy had that wig cap still on her hair, which was smart. Because you can't grab nothing at that point unless you're trying to grab the wig cap. But Rosé ends up saying that... Neek ends up saying that Hennessyy fights unfair, even though there's no rules in fighting, but she fights like she's scared. I agree with that. The way she fights with the jumping and like the running up and kicking and stuff, why are you not running up and swinging? But we know how she fights. That's her style. So I'm like, I get what Neek is saying, but I see what she's trying to do. But they start standing across from each other, and they was stalling big time. I'm like, bro, like, y'all just sitting here standing here. If y'all not going to fight, don't fight. Like, just go sit down somewhere. But Hennessyy sitting there saying how you feeling. Like, she tying Rosé at this point. Rosé sitting there taking her eyelashes off. Dani and Draya sitting back there laughing and dancing. Hennessyy is still asking Rosé how she's feeling. Rosé's like, come on. They still sitting here stalling. Oceans was saying that before the first round, I got my popcorn, I'm ready. She says now, like, they just popping gums. Like, I got my popcorn too quick. I'm like, they are. Like, it's true. But they still standing there stalling, wasting time. Hennessyy ends up saying, you don't feel like fighting, do you? Like, at this point, I'd have been saying the same thing. Because if you ain't ran up on me yet, when you the one that was on the bus wanting to fight me, you don't want to fight. Like, that's just really what it is. And Rosé is still saying, come on. Hennessyy says what I just said. Why are you waiting on me? And I always say this. If you have a problem with me and you want to fight me, I'm not running up on you first. You need to run up on me. Like, you should be the one running up with you, the one with the issue. But Hennessyy says, like, why are you waiting on me to fight when you the one that said you wanted your ones? I said, exactly. But Rosé ends up saying, I know what's up with you. AKA, I know how you fight now. So she quickly learned in the moment how she fights. So you allowing her to run up on you, you can kind of get her off guard. She runs up and kicks. But Hennessyy said, I promised you I wasn't going to put my hands on you. Why did you make me put my hands on you now? They still stalling. Neek says, somebody run up. I'm like, exactly, like, stop. Like, come on. We are tired. But Rosé finally does because Hennessyy was laughing and kind of like turned her head. And the one time she was off guard, Rosé decided to attack. She runs up in headlocks and she swings a couple times. I couldn't tell if it really connected or not. I'm going to have to watch it back in slow-mo. But Hennessyy counters that. Hennessy's strong. That's just really what it is. She's strong. And she counters it, flips her back onto the ground, gets her 2 licks in. I saw them 2 connect. Security breaks it up again once they start pulling hair. So now it's 2-0 Hennessyy. Hennessy's winning right now, if you ask me. But Hennessyy ended up pulling out Rosé's real hair, which I'm like, and I know that shit hurt. But Rosé got too much adrenaline to even feel it at that moment. But they square up again. Dani and Draya back in the back clowning, talking about you done fell on your neck or whatever. Just clowning. But Rosé starts posting up. So she get her little post up. She starts swinging, throwing a couple 2-3-piece combos. Not hitting nothing. She ain't hitting her, but she pulls back up the guard, go back to set. Does it again. Nothing happened again. Third time, Hennessyy comes up and starts grabbing hair, wrestling style. This round was nasty to watch. There's a lot of like hands in mouths, hands low-key getting ready to get in somebody's eye. The girls are telling her to stop grabbing hair because Hennessyy is grabbing her hair at this point. And I agree, but I'm saying, this is her style. That's the way she fights. So if you're going to fight her, that's what you got to deal with. So you either get the pistol out and get her that way, or you just piece her up to where she can't even do it. But you fighting Hennessyy, this is what you're going to deal with. But Hennessyy ends up getting Rosé on her back. Rosé ends up countering and getting her back on her back. Got a couple shots in. Hennessyy then flips her back over, and she's on top of her, biting Rosé's fingers as they're in her mouth. Them girls was mad. Neek, Erica, and Envy. I was with them. I can't stand that shit. But Rosé says she can never be cool with her again. I don't blame you. Neek, Erica, and Envy, they go check on her. Neek says that she don't like that biting shit. Hennessyy's over there twerking. Dani, Draya, and Raven over there gassing her up. Rosé sees it. She does it. Her girls start doing the same thing. So at this point, we already knew there were sides, but it was clear here. Like, you got Raven, Dani, and Draya with Hennessyy. You got Erica, Neek, and Envy with Rosé. And then Oceans eventually picked her side, which was with them. So the 2 cliques, they go their own separate ways. Hennessyy's crew goes up to Joseline's room, and Raven's like, you both going up in Joseline's room. They up there. Rosé's group is still downstairs. Erica says that she saw what Hennessyy did to Oceans because with the knees, because she tried to do that shit with Rosé, and she did. Like, she fight grimy. But Raven ends up asking Dani and Draya if she was wrong for saying to Rosé that her breath stank. The other 2 girls said no. I would have said yes in the moment. The way you did it, yes, she was wrong for doing that. Because you was trying to embarrass that girl. You could have easily just pulled her to the side and said, look, invest in some Listerine. Like what she said in her confessional, pretty much giving the dental tips. You should have did that to her on the side, off camera. Didn't need to be on camera. Like, you waited to do this shit on camera because you wanted to embarrass her. Which is why I wanted to say that, because we're going to talk about it later on. But Raven, yeah, like, your intentions were not good with that. They weren't. But Raven then goes through those dental tips, like I just said. Neek and Envy, they still talking about the show, not want anybody to go in there with a black eye like Oceans. Draya and Dani, they're worried about the other girls getting drunk. I'm like, if they're coherent when it matters, what's it to you? Granted, you shouldn't be getting drunk before a performance, but if they can perform when it's time, it does not matter. It does not matter. Y'all just picking at this point. That's just really what it is. But Rosé and Neek, they go jump in the water knowing that they got a show, which I thought was stupid. But they go jumping in the water. Neek immediately knew, like, we probably gonna get in trouble for this. But Draya and Dani, they're talking about how drunk they are and they on that shit, just talking shit. But saying essentially when Joseline shows up, she knows that they pretty much saying like, we know we're gonna get chewed out because this is the respect shit that Joseline's talking about. No, it's not. Joseline wants y'all to sit there and lick her feet. That's respect to Joseline. The way y'all act coming to a show, Joseline, 9 times out of 10, Joseline's not always 100% professional. We know that. There's a shorter percentage of Joseline being professional when it's time to be professional than it is her not. Like, let's keep it real. But later on, it's darker now outside, but they still outside in the backyard waiting on Joseline. She finally comes, and she's talking about how she got a call that some of the girls was up in her room, sleeping in her bed. And she ends up asking who slept in her bed, and she ends up asking Hennessyy if she did it. And Hennessy's like, I don't know where your bed is at. Joseline said, it's the master bedroom, the one I told y'all not to go in. And Hennessy's standing there looking dumbfounded. But Joseline says if she found out that Hennessyy was being entitled, going up there, she gonna get rid of her. And Hennessyy says, yes, ma'am. I said, like, you could not catch me calling her yes, ma'am. Even though I'm Southern and I normally say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, and no, sir, and yes, ma'am. I do that normally, like in my day-to-day when I'm talking to people. I do that. But with Joseline, the way she tries to browbeat it out of you, absolutely not. No. But Joseline ends up saying they got one last day of rehearsal, but by the looks of things, it looks like y'all been in here fighting. And Rosé ends up taking accountability for it. She's like, yeah, me and Hennessyy was fighting. She explained how it all happened and why they did what they did and where they did it. Joseline said, I don't know why y'all fighting because y'all came in here as friends. Like, so what's going on? Joseline, you know why they fighting. Like, come on. But she then says, like, why y'all not running y'all's ones after the performance? I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. But Raven ends up saying that Rosé initiated the fight. She did. She did. She was on the bus saying, I want my ones. Hennessyy co-signs that, and Rosé starts yelling at their lying. They're not. In this moment, they're not lying. Hennessyy says, so why are you yelling? Like, why are you yelling? And Hennessyy says, essentially, we had a whole verbal argument for probably 30 to 40 minutes, and it could have stayed verbal, but she was the one that kept pressing the issue about wanting to fight. That is true. We saw it. But Rosé is crying, still saying that they're lying. I'm like, they're not, though. But Raven ends up saying, I think the drinking is too much. Dani says, we're not supposed to be drinking. And Joseline asks who has been drinking. And, of course, who they go to? Neek. And Hennessyy's like, she do it all fucking day, every day. Neek starts screaming, saying, even if I am drunk, I'm never missing a step on the stage. Where's the lie? Drunk or not, she's eating all of y'all up, including Joseline. So you can't talk to her about shit. If you asking me, you can't talk to her about shit when it comes to performing. If she's drunk all day and still gets on the stage and busts y'all ass every time, why the fuck are you speaking to me? That's what I would have said if I was Neek. But, where was I? I just lost my spot. Neek ends up saying in her confessionals that in the first night, yes, she was off her ass. She was drunk. She ended up also admitting that she was drunk the night before. But she said they just mad, talking about Hennessyy, y'all just mad because y'all weren't there the first night when we was getting drunk. But Joseline ends up asking if Neek is drunk every night. She says no. They say yes. They trying to say that Neek is not professional. Neek ends up talking about how she is. Whenever it's time to step, she steps. Like I just said, she does. And she tears y'all up every time. But Neek and Draya, they start going back and forth. And Draya is pretty much calling Neek a liar, basically saying that she drinks every chance she gets and wishes that she takes some accountability instead of taking everything as an attack. How would she not take everything that y'all do as an attack when all y'all do is attack her? Let's be so for real. People talk about her attitude, but y'all sit and pick with her all day long. Yes, Neek is very confident. Yes, Neek talks a lot of shit. Yes, Neek sometimes does do certain things. But with these three, y'all pick with her all the time. Y'all get in Joseline's ear about her all the time, about shit that happens outside of the cabaret that has nothing to do with the performance. If it was one thing about the performance, it'd be one thing. But y'all sit and pick with Neek all day long. Why the fuck would she not be defensive anytime y'all come to me? And then not only that, if every time I'm around y'all bitches and y'all know I don't like y'all and all y'all doing is sitting around talking shit, why the fuck am I going to take anything that y'all say as constructive criticism? Like, why would she not? Like, just shut the fuck up. I wanted to say, Draya, shut up. Like, shut up. But Joseline then tells him to figure it out right now because I need to know today who is going to be ready to do the performance. But she says they need to look the part. None of them did in that moment. But she said it's time for rehearsal. So they go off to get on the bus, and Draya is pretty much asking how they feel about what just happened, and she's pretty much trying to be like, I told y'all so, but I'm not trying to tell you I told y'all so. But Neek ends up saying, when it comes to me, I don't even drink when I'm in the club like that. But I'm here on a show. Of course, I'm going to turn up. That's what normally happens on reality TV shows. You get free. Most of the time, you get unlimited liquor. That's what you're there for. You're there to have a good time. Granted, this one is a competition, but like it's a reality show. Like you got to make good TV. But she says when it comes to practicing, I'm there. I don't come to practice drunk, looking a fool, which we all know that to be true. She has never come to practice looking a fool, and even if she was drunk, I'm pretty sure she still could look better than him. But Dani is in the back making slick comments. Draya is now talking over Neek while Neek was still talking, telling her not to talk over her. I'm like, bitch, you talking over her. You talking over her. That is one thing that pisses me off more than anything. I can't stand when people talk over me. And it's like this whole scene, they was gaslighting Neek. They was. I already know it now. I see it now. A lot of people going to be like, oh, you just like Neek, and that's why you... They was gaslighting her. If you don't sit and watch that whole scene, they was gaslighting her. So why would she not trip out the way she did? But Raven then says, at this point, we got to respect the OGs. I said, respect who? The OGs that's on this bus? You, Dani, and Draya? The ones that let Joseline disrespect the fuck out of y'all? How do you expect me to respect y'all when y'all don't even respect yourself? That's what I would have said. Because y'all let this bitch walk all over y'all. Like, the audacity. You learn to respect yourself first before you expect them to respect you. But Raven ends up saying, y'all, I don't know what I just wrote. I don't know what I wrote. Hold on. This looks like it is completely, I don't know. It kind of it took part of my notes from last week's baddies and put it, I don't know how the fuck that happened. But she pretty much says, like, this, y'all with the disrespecting going forward, it's not going to happen. Like, y'all going to have to respect us. When we're giving y'all constructive criticism, just take it. If it's constructive criticism, I understand it. But sometimes, 9 times out of 10, y'all not giving constructive criticism. And if y'all was to give constructive criticism, don't do it after something that happened that you didn't like about them, after you just sat there and told them about themselves. Because that's not constructive criticism. You just trying to take jabs and trying to assert your dominance where you don't have any dominance. You want to be like Joseline. Y'all want to be like Joseline over these girls, but let Joseline be Joseline all over y'all. Like, but Raven ends up saying to Neek, like, you don't want to listen, that's on you. Because Draya says something, what did she say? She said something along the lines of, like, Joseline wants girls around her to have decorum, which I was like, she don't even have decorum, but okay. But Raven was like, if you don't want to listen, that's on you. Neek says, it's not that I'm not listening. Like, y'all just sitting here talking crazy to me. But Raven ends up saying it's the way you talk to us. And Neek says, that's just the way I talk. Like I said earlier, if they come at her the way they do, why would she not be defensive? Like, but Raven ends up telling Neek that she needs to work on that, the way she talks. Granted, sometimes she do need to work on her delivery sometimes, but when you start gaslighting me, you can't tell me to calm down. You can't. But Neek says, and let me work on it, bitch. I mean, I can't be mad at her because they done pissed her off. Like, it's all of y'all coming at me at one time. Like, why would she not get riled up? But Raven tells her not to talk to her like that because she did call her a bitch. But Neek says, but you the one up here yelling. Gaslighting Raven, though. But Raven is now yelling, and Dani and Draya in the back making comments. So at this point, it's 3 versus 1. It's them 3 versus Neek. Why would she not feel like she's in attack mode? Why would she not feel like y'all are attacking her? But Neek ends up saying all that yelling is not doing shit for me. Don't do shit for me either. Like, if you want something to get if you want to get a point across to me, you don't yell at me. You yell at me, I'm not listening. But Neek is now screaming, and Raven's talking about how she'll get Joseline on her ass. I'm like, that's why she's yelling, because y'all love to try and set her up. That's just what it is. But Neek is now trying to tell Raven not to yell at her like that. Raven is telling Neek not to disrespect her. Neek is saying the same thing. They start going back and forth. The gaslighting is crazy. Neek is saying, yeah, this is supposed to be a cabaret. And Raven's talking about, Neek, you be talking down on all your sisters. I said, but did you not just sit here and try to embarrass one of your sisters, Rosé, who's in the cabaret? Like, everything Raven was saying was contradicting herself. Like, But they start screaming. Neek ends up throwing a bag of chips, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but she threw that shit and it hit Dani completely. Completely. So I can't be mad at Dani for jumping up. But they all start jumping Neek, and that shit was some weak hoe shit. But next week is the final show. Raven and it looked like Dani or Draya, one of the two, was snitching on Neek. And Joseline, and they're pretty much trying to call Neek a bully, but that's what it is. I need y'all, because I have not eaten since like 1. If you got all the way through, I need y'all to drop either a chicken emoji, which is either for, because I'm not trying to, it's DoorDash. I'm not doing them delivery fees on no expensive meal. So I'm going to do either drop a chicken emoji for Wendy's, drop a fry emoji for Hardee's or Carl's Jr.'s. I think that's what they call it out there in the West Coast. Drop that down below. Yeah, thumbs up the video if y'all are new here and have not already. 200. Let's try and get 200 again. And get in the comments. I know y'all will subscribe, and I'll see y'all in a couple hours for baddies.